Hi, I'm Ivanna Hernandez, and my project, even if it's just for the day, How Renaissance Fairs Build Community and Bring Fantasy to Life, explores the imaginative, emotional, and social worlds of Renaissance fairs in the United States, spaces where play becomes ritual and fantasy becomes reality, with participants getting to step into new, liberated versions of themselves. Through 6 weeks of ethnographic fieldwork at a Midwestern fair, where I conducted 8 interviews with regular attendees and engaged in immersive participation, preparing and wearing themed outfits, dressing as an elf, a villager, and a pirate, fully immersing myself in the world of the fair and taking part in nearly all of the activities it had to offer. I asked, what does it mean to engage with fantasy? What does fantasy make possible? The American Renaissance Fair began in 1963, created by teacher Phyllis Patterson as a fundraising event for Pacifica Radio in Los Angeles. The original fair used the Renaissance aesthetic to mask sharp political critique of the Red Scare of the 1960s. It was theater, but also counterculture, a performance of a different world. By the 1980s and 90s, these events had evolved from a form of commentary into a subculture of their own. They continued to be a place where people got to participate in an alternative culture where freedom of expression and authenticity were highly valued, welcoming so-called nerds, queer folk, artisans, musicians, and people of all kinds. People came not just to dress up, but to belong. Nowadays, Renaissance fairs can be described as a type of fair or festival commonly held across the United States that seeks to pay homage to and recreate European medieval and Renaissance periods. They regularly contain a plethora of events and activities such as performances, themed food, shops, and music of the time period. Through its unique environment, the fair gets to transport attendees to another time and place. This is further accentuated by attendees who are invited to dress up, step into their characters, and immerse themselves in another world. Renaissance fairs have historically always incorporated elements of the fantasy genre, in particular because of its association with the medieval and with fan cultures, but also in large part thanks to J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings or Middle-earth series, released in the 50s. Historian Rachel Lee Rubin says that Tolkien's work and its effects illustrate the root of the long-standing bridge between the Renaissance fair and fantasy writing, a yearning to imagine another reality as an important part of expressing a critique of the actual one. Fantasy at the fair, then, is not just an escape, it's an aspiration. Marketing researcher Anastasia Saragina describes fantasy as a sort of performance of reality, one in which we take what is already familiar to us and transform it into something else, something yet to be produced in our current realities. As a result, she considers reality and fantasy both general agreements, where their difference remains in the subjective value and attitude towards the experience. These insights guide my argument. Renaissance fairs act as spaces of encouragement for people's imaginations and creativity through an accepting and empathetic community, which embodies these values through fair practices. Within this community and space, narratives are continuously being crafted and shared, establishing the Renaissance fair as separate from the outside world. Thus, a kind of fantasy becomes social communally constructed as people become empowered to engage with themselves and their realities differently from how they are able to in their daily lives. Among the winding paths and royal banners of the fair, I met Elvie, a familiar face to many, and something of nobility. For me, Elvie told me, making my own gowns and dressing up lets me step into the world that much more. The fair is a place where you can fully envelop yourself in a fantastical world, no matter what you want to represent within the grounds. The outfits she wears at the fairs are handcrafted by her, meant to resemble those of a noble lady, often switching colors and patterns based on the themes of the day. In the jousting tournaments, you'll find her right in the front row, cheering for her favorite knight, Cavalier Vito. He often returns the favor with tokens of affection, such as a kiss on the hand or even the gift of his shield. At times, she has been invited to sit beside Queen Elizabeth in the royal court. her presence woven seamlessly into the narrative unfolding around her. But what makes Elvie's experience truly special isn't just what she brings, it's how others respond. Her connection with Vito has grown into something of a performative bond, but it's not limited to him. She also shares a friendly rivalry with Vito's arch-nemesis, Xavier. Between matches, they bicker. When Vito wins, Elvie mocks Xavier with glee by giving him a thumbs down. When Xavier wins, he sneers right back at her, taunting her. It's all part of the show, but also a shared language of improvisation and mutual recognition. These moments require more than staying in character. They require empathy. Everyone involved has to acknowledge and honor each other's roles to keep the narrative alive. It's collaborative storytelling, built on trust, where even play-acted antagonism deepens connection. Anthropologist Victor Turner considered that play and performance allowed people to transcend structural boundaries by bringing out what is normally sealed up, inaccessible to everyday observation and reasoning in the depth of social-cultural life, allowing the self to express and reinvent itself. That's what's happening here. Elvie confessed to me how these experiences have changed her self-image and grown her self-confidence. And that's the power of places like this, not just to entertain, but to reshape how we see ourselves and how others see us in return. At the fair, Elvie isn't just pretending, she's expanding. Through costume, performance, and connection, she grows. And that version of herself isn't make-believe, it's real, made possible by the shared and performative fantasy of the fair. Through the fair, I also met Craig and Jill, character actors who portray members of the royal court and its attendants. Their job is to help bring the world of the fair to life by interacting with guests, such as inviting them to dance, pulling them into the storylines, and addressing them with titles like Milord and Milady. While their characters were assigned, their identities were not. Both Craig and Jill developed their own backstories, personalities, and costumes for their characters, crafting identities that feel authentic within the world of the fair. When I asked Jill how they help others invest in their story, she explains it this way. There's a thing that is discussed about Her Majesty. As long as we believe and treat her as Her Majesty, it makes it so that we believe that she is Her Majesty. And when we believe that she is Her Majesty, people who are unsure will look at this and go, "Look, it's Her Majesty." Because all of these people believe, and we will believe too, even if it's just for the day. And they do. Guests would curtsy as they pass the queen, offer her small gifts, and ask her for advice, treating her with the reverence her title demands. The shared belief makes the world of the fair not only imaginative, but feel real. It becomes an embodied experience, something you feel in your posture, your speech, your gestures. In this process of honoring each other's characters and playing together in this world, something real begins to take shape. A community. Whether you're a performer, a spectator, or simply someone who believes, you become part of the story. The fair itself collectively, Craig added, can be very magical if you're receptive to it. What helps make it magical is that there are so many of us, and they may not be playing a character, they may not be in character, but they add to the overall atmosphere of the whole thing. It's not just pretending, it's creating. Renaissance fairs are spaces where people can explore new ways of being and relating to the world. They invite us to step into fantasy, not solely to escape reality, but to imagine it differently. In doing so, they open up the possibility to create something personal, positive, and meaningful. As Rachel Lee Rubin puts it, most important, the fair's most devoted audience is found, and still find, that it expresses a desire to inhabit, even if temporarily, a transformed world. From their countercultural roots to the thriving subculture they support today, Renaissance fairs continue to offer an enchanting alternative to the everyday. They remind us that magic isn't far away. It's something we co-create. Fantasy, then, isn't an idle activity. It's a practice, a shared performance of what could be. Whether through handmade gowns, playful rivalries, or bowing to a queen we all agree is real. Even if it's just for the day, people create a world that feels both imagined and deeply true. Because at the Renaissance Fair, the ordinary gives way to the extraordinary.